Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Discussing Digital. You may or may not be aware, but in each episode of Discussing Digital, I ask my guest to give one good tip, so one good thing that everyone should be doing for their digital marketing. So in case you haven't heard all of these, because they are towards the end of each episode, I've merged together all 7 of the Discussing Digital good ideas into this one video. So we're starting off with the one good idea from Karen Williams, who was the first guest on Discussing Digital.
Again, it's about, I think the most important thing, Rob, when it comes to anything like this is knowing where you can turn to. So, for example, I've got someone who does the design for me. I've got someone who does kind of some of the marketing stuff, although I'm quite technically minded and I like to jump in and do some of this. It's good to know you've got other people there to support you as well. You don't need to know everything. So that's if one piece of advice that people can take from this. If some of the stuff I'm saying is a little bit too much, go to experts like you. Like, there's a lot of people out there who can support in so many ways and make it easy as possible.
Okay, that's kind of preemptive. One of the things I sort of said I normally ask people when I'm recording this. One is a good tip. So I'm happy to take that as your one thing to recommend, unless you've got something else you want to share as one thing to recommend.
I think that's probably my one thing. That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I think if I had to add one more thing, it's just about raising your profile, especially when it comes to a book launch. Do what you need to do to raise your profile. Don't be afraid of doing lots of stuff, because actually you want your message to get out to as many people as possible. So you can have that bonus tip.
Brilliant, excellent. And here's the tip from Cheryl Andrews.
So my top tip of what to do is be yourself. And I also think that I want to add into that sometimes when I used to get told be yourself, it's like we've actually gone on a journey of trying to please everybody else for so long that we've forgotten who we are. So my thing with use your digital marketing to have fun discovering who you are. What do you want your words to say about you? What do you want your clothes to say about you? What do you want your photograph to say about you? Who do you want to be? And actually, you might not be being the person you really want to be right now, but your digital marketing will give you a lovely transformation journey to go back on. You can look at some of my photographs with my long hair and my deerstalker hat from 4 years ago versus now. You can see the transformation. So rather than be yourself, your authentic self, but if you don't like who you are, use social media and your digital marketing as a really playful journey to experiment and learn about who you'd like to be and how you want to show up.
And here's the tip from Paul Newton.
Good, do it. Don't worry about the quality of the kit you've currently got. Okay, I'm sat in front of a good camera now. My word, when Nuggets started, my camera was awful, my microphone was awful, everything. This stuff has been bought and upgraded because of the followers of Nuggets and of Mental Theft. Don't worry about the quality of kit. Get started. You can start it rubbish, you can upgrade it as you go. Seriously.
And here's the tip that Alison Colley gave.
I suppose it's to find what you're good at, what you like, the spaces you like to be in first. Don't necessarily think, okay, well, this is where everyone's at, so I'm going to go to that kind of platform if you don't like it and you're not engaged with it yourself. So I think you need to enjoy the platform if you're going to be doing content yourself. And I suppose the second thing is being aware of your message and what you're trying to achieve from it. So, you often see people who are just advertising or spamming and using digital for that purpose, but really it's about providing value and adding value to people. And that's the starting point for us, is we create content that adds value or provides something to the people that are seeing it first.
Yeah, that's really good. And I'm just going to keep pushing your TikTok thing. Just go and look at that, what you're doing there, because it's really clever how you just are answering people's questions, and that's true added value. And here's Steve O'Neill's tip.
My one good thing, I think, is think about mixing it up. So I tend to do kind of rule of 3. I tend to do a sort of an info post about a subject that might be interesting to people. So, here's the latest article on problems with management, or, talking about learning skills or AI or ChatGPT or whatever it is. So one post that's kind of got something that might be interesting to your potential customers or other people. One post that's quite personal and sort of bloggy or vloggy, so it's about my world. And then one post which is just a direct transmission this is my business and this is the service I do. So I try to mix it up. And I think mixing it up means that people they're not seeing the same thing all the time. And when your posts come up in their feed, they'll find it interesting. So that's the one thing I think I do okay.
Now let's hear from Andreas Nest. His tip is all to do with they ask, you answer.
Yes, start was a good one. About a year ago, I think we had what we call an Action Coach Business Excellence Forum. And so one of the speakers on stage at that part was a guy called Marcus Sheridan. Now, Marcus Sheridan is one of the great marketeers when it comes to online marketing, and his book, They Ask, You Answer, was a real game changer for me. He basically had a pool business, a fiberglass pool business in the States, which he still has. And he, as it was ramping up towards the recession in 2008, the big credit crunch, he lost a lot of orders. His business overnight just collapsed in itself. And he was thinking, how can I make a difference? How can I make a change? How can I amplify my digital marketing? And so he thought, what are people actually asking on Google when it comes to my sector, my industry? And, you probably noticed when you put a search term into the Google engine, there will be a lot of other similar search terms coming up at the same time. And that gives you a really good idea what people are actually searching when they search for your industry or your sector. And so he was looking at all these questions thinking, so they want to know how much it is. They want to know what's the difference between a fiberglass pool and a concrete pool. And so he looked at all these questions. And then what he did was he created blocks about all these questions. They ask, you answer.
Yeah.
And he put them on his website. And suddenly his website got extra traffic and extra traffic and extra traffic. And then he found out that, as an example, that one of the questions was always, how much is it? How much is a pool? Okay. And nobody out there in his arena was telling people how much it is. They would say, well, we need to come to your house. We need to measure up. We need to see what you want. It's very bespoke and it's very difficult. And it's all these things. And he thought, well, why don't we keep it simple? And I give them 3 different scenarios, just a pool with a bit of landscaping around it. And then the other scenario, everything done for you with the whole bells and whistles, everything. And so he put that on his blog, the 3 different prices. He put it on his website, in his blog. And guess what? That blog post, just that one post since he created it, right? Created such a mass of traffic to his website. It's insane. And I can't remember the actual figures. Okay, so don't quote me if I'm wrong here. But he said it was probably 5 to 7 million of extra business that he generated just because of one blog post, because nobody else would tell people how much it is. And so I'm thinking, this is good. This is good. So what I've done over the last 6 to 9 months is I've created posts that ask and answers questions about businesses and do they need a coach? Why is coaching, what's the difference between coaching, consulting? What's the difference? Do I need a coach? And all these questions that people have when I put things about my sector in Google, then there's lots of questions coming up.
Yeah.
And so I created now videos that answer all these questions. And to no surprise, there's quite a lot of viewings on these posts. And I will continue doing them, answering more and more questions. And I do that by asking my clients, when you first looked for a coach, what is it you were looking for? And they all have different answers. So I'm going to have eventually, hopefully, a little video about all these questions. And so it's been a massive game changer in my head. And it's helped me create more content and hopefully boost up my rating on Google as well.
Now let's listen to the tip that Liz Drury gave us all.
Well, I think, I have already mentioned this, but I think it's worth mentioning again, is to be consistent with social media. So, as I said, I try and post on LinkedIn every weekday. And I made a conscious decision to do that a few years ago. And I'd had a LinkedIn profile for a while and never did much with it unless I thought I'd really got something to shout about. And I thought, I wonder what difference it will make if I start posting consistently. And the difference was just phenomenal. So many more people started seeing my stuff and commenting on my posts and so on. So I think that's the key, is to be consistent with it.
So there you have it. 7 great tips from 7 business owners about how to use digital marketing to grow your business. I hope you found this interesting. And if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, all the links to the episodes that have been used in this episode will be in the show notes. There'll be plenty more episodes of Discussing Digital coming forward in 2024. So don't forget to subscribe either to the YouTube channel where you're watching this, if you're watching it, or to your favorite podcasting platform. So I look forward to sharing lots more digital marketing tips and discussions with business owners in 2024, and hope you find them beneficial. Thanks for watching. See you next year.